This lecture today is a bit sensitive because it is my life story, and sometimes I get tears in my eyes, and several places, especially when I talk about the poem I wrote about Statue of Liberty, that first time I saw freedom in America. And so you have to bear with me if I'm stopping for a minute. I'm just catching my breath to, um, to regroup myself. And in between, I will give you more of your English. What? Yes, the confusion goes on. I mean, it does not stop. But I was born in a wealthy Iranian family. My grandfather was one of the most famous surgeons in Iran, and my father was very educated, spoke 7 languages fluently, played 6 instruments in the Iranian national radio, and unfortunately, because of a very unusual divorce, uh, myself and my siblings, I was only 2 years old, and the oldest sister was 13 years old. We were left in the street with no support. So my life really has not been much different than a typical Middle Eastern boy that would be selling postcards or shining shoes, destined to be a sunglass salesman as an adult. But I was very lucky to have a grandmother, and she was very, very influential in my life. And my book journey is dedicated to her because if she wasn't there for us, we wouldn't have been dead, or God knows what would have been our destiny. My father was an alcoholic bum with all of his talent. He married his mistress the same week that my mother left. And my mother was very uptight with the whole thing, and she never came back. I was 2 years old. I never remembered what my mother's face looked like when I was a child. My father said, "Send them to orphanages. We don't want him." And my grandmother said, "Under my dead body." In those countries, the abuse in the orphanages starts from 6 months old. And she said, "I would not let that happen." She begged her husband, who had, according to all kind of traditional rules, he had 3 wives. So he only used to go to her house once every third week. She said, "Let me bring these children to my house, and I will take care of them, and I will send 1 week that you're here to the father." And he said, "No, I don't want anything to do with the children." So my grandmother left her husband and made a deal with my father that you give us a room, just one room. Schooling, food, nothing was included in the contract, just a shelter. And he said, "I will take care of him," which she brought meager amount of meal and everything from her house. And we went ahead. My sister, 13 years old, was very talented, and she had a great, great talent in sewing and making things. And she used to go to the trash dumps and garbages, find curtains and clothes and uh, sheets that people throw away, and she made clothes for us at that time. Therefore, Because of a very, very mean stepmother and caring mother and alcoholic father, my childhood memories are starvation, deprivation, and child abuse. Luckily, I was a dreamer, and luckily, the grandmother kept teaching us many, many, many valuable things that in this book I have one page of things that she told us that everybody should know about because it's really wonderful. One of the most painful part of growing up was not having food. And it wasn't that nobody had food. Well, a lot of people in the world don't eat, don't have money to buy food. In the same house, my stepmother and their children and my father used to eat. We could smell the food, we could see the food, we could not come close to the table. Even if we look at them, they will not just push you away, they will hit you that you do a backflip. So we kept crying, and my grandmother said, kept us under her arm and said, "Hey, don't worry about it. These are really funny things, but that's how we learn life. Whatever you put in your mouth when you go to toilet, it goes out from the other end. What you put in your head and in your heart, it never go out. So study, be somebody that you can be a helpful member of the society, and that would be the food replacement is nothing." And he said, "That's the world, that's life." He said, when you're young, you need appetite, you have big appetite, you want to eat, you don't have money to buy food. When you're older, you can afford it. You either don't have your health or your teeth to enjoy it. That's life. And that was true. And he said, the most beautiful flowers grow in places that in the middle of desert, in the middle of the rocks with no attention. Just go to school and be good, educated person, which it was great. Therefore, I learned from early age to depend upon myself and my own resources. I dreamed about being a soccer player, and I just was fascinated with soccer players. And there was no way I didn't have the parents or grandparents to sign me up with the soccer program anywhere. So all I could do, I found an old tennis ball one day, and all I could do, go to school, come back, play on my own with that soccer ball every day. I was even dribbling when I was crossing the streets, dribbling the cars and everything. Those of you who have been in Istanbul or Italy or some of those crazy big cities, Tehran is worse. We have a saying, they said that there are two kind of pedestrians, quick or dead. Here is this crazy boy dribbling the car, they're cussing and honking horns. I was imagining they are my fans in the stadium, they're cheering for me. When I was 13 and 14 years old, I was fascinated with the soccer player. I used to stand in the side of the stadium. I didn't have money to go watch the game, and I didn't have television or anything. Just stand in there, hear what people telling about the game. And then when the soccer players came walking by, I just wanted to see what they looked like, how they dress, how they walk, how they talk. It was a fascination. Believe it or not, when I was 19 years old, I played in the same team with 9 of those players being in my team, in Iranian team. The most precious trophy I have ever had is the picture of that team with those 9 people autographing for me because they were my idols. And then later on, we traveled together to Europe and we went to other countries, Asia, just to compete. And I saw the freedom in all of the other countries. I wanted nothing to do in Iran. A lot of people, especially older people, always thought that Shah was a wonderful man. The Shah of Iran was a wonderful man in Iran. He wanted to make the country progress and this type of thing. It was a joke. He was worse than Saddam Hussein. He was very, very typical tyrant, and nobody in the country had life. He said everybody was saying, "Oh, he gave the woman voting right, didn't he?" I said, "No, no, no, that's not the right statement. He allowed the women go to the boxes. Not anybody in the country had a voting right. Always unanimous, without any opposition. Everybody, his associates and his family members, were running the country. His money was unbelievable. And because I'm going to read a section in my book that I wrote about, very quick paragraph in there. But my personal life condition compared to the country's suppression under dictatorship gave me this crazy idea that I should run away, I should go to a free country. I tried to be defected when we were in Europe a couple of times. It was impossible because we had more Secret Service people with the group than we had players. So they watch every movement of yours. There was no way you could do that. Especially, Shah was very, very big chauvinist. If any of his good players were not there, and he would lose, the Iran loses to other teams, they would actually amputate your brother's arm or leg, or they do things that it was very inhuman. So I just waited and waited, and finally, in 1961, I was hoping that I could come to United States when I could play, but it took 7 years of preparation, documentation, and all of the things that they required. By the time that I came to United States, I was a coach, and I was very, very lucky that I was one of the first pioneer coaches America hired to promote soccer in America from mid-60s. We were in groups with Pele and a lot of wonderful people, about 38, 39 of us. We went all over the country to promote soccer. And some of those big boys like Pele and everybody, they stayed with the professional clubs in big city. We went because we were educators. We went to schools from elementary to high school to universities. We went to promote the foundation of soccer. They tried to promote. Right now, United States soccer is in such a way that it is the most popular sports among the youth, and I'm very proud of my contribution to what I did. It was a terrific situation. But I want to read you. First, I want to tell you about I'm not going to say everything that it is in this book. For those of you who read the book, I don't want to take the taste away. So, and if the books are practically gone, I guess there was only one or two left when I was coming in here. If you still need it, please talk to me. I will take care of it for you. I will mail it to your house with no problem. But the opening statement of my book, when I came to United States, I thought that all of my problems is gone, and now I'm free, everything is okay. No, there was a lot of adjustment. There was a lot of social adjustment, language problem. There was many, many different East meets West. There were things that it was way beyond my imagination. I never thought that it would be like that. So the very, very opening statement of my book is, some people change country because the land seemed more fertile in the other side of the ocean. Some were wrenched away. Some others, some sought a livelihood. Others came for protection. Some came 100 years ago. others just run for their lives. People say it takes 5 years for an uprooted tree to gain root again and begin growing in a new soil. But how long does it take for a person? That is not so easy. But I wanted to be assimilated. I was the person. I came to America. I'm American by choice, very proud of it, and I wanted in every way to be American. A lot of these foreigners that they come to countries, they still hang on to their back country. They are neither here nor there. They are miserable. My success has been really, really very good, and a lot of people that they know me, they say you're a very good example of reaching American dream. I'm very, very proud of it. But I just wanted to read you a little bit about what Shah did in Iran, which is very interesting. And then I go, everybody is so silent. It's not the same crowd that I have. Before I do that, I have to say something about the culture. Uh, Shah, how many of you know Bob Matthias? This kind of changes my. You know Bob Matthias? He was the Olympic champion, decathlon champion. Shah hired him to be the coach of Iranian track team. And those of you who are familiar with track and field, it's very, very hard. In other words, it's not like basketball or volleyball that everybody plays the same thing in the same small court. The javelin throwers are here, the shot putters are there, hurdlers, pole vaulters. This poor guy was running around like a chicken with his head cut off, and he had a major problem. The major problem that he had was Shah's head of police departments, police organization's son had to be in the track team. And he wasn't good enough. None of the Iranians could throw him out. And Bob Matthias, being an American, didn't know why in the world he's in the track team. So he was really upset. But that wasn't the end of it. The problem was this general, who was the head of police, was not leaving him alone. Everywhere he goes, he just grabs him and holds on his sleeve. I want you to make my son the best trackman in the team. So one time, Bob Matthias got so upset he couldn't find his translator. He said, Firuz, would you do me a favor, please? I said, sure. I said, what do you want? He said, I want you to tell this jerk, a horse is a horse, a mule is a mule. No matter how I train, I'm not going to make a horse out of a mule. Whoa. No way in the world I am permitted to translate that to the big general. I will be in jail the rest of my life. And General said, Firuz, what are you saying? Thank God God has given me a quick reaction. I'll tell you a couple of other things about it. And I said, General, he says, your son has the best potential in track, but you're pushing him too hard. He thinks that you should just sit back on the stage, let him grow, let him mature slowly, and then he will definitely bring the gold medal from Olympics to you. He started shaking Bob's hand. Thank you, thank you. Bob said, why is he thanking me? I just told him off. And I said, he's thanking the wrong man. He said, what do you mean? I said, he should be thanking me and you should be thanking me, because in these countries you will be dumped in a lake, man. Don't talk to these people like that. He said, what did you say? When I said that, he said, I want you to be my translator from now on. I said, no. It is very difficult. And I'm going to tell you one of the really funny things about the culture and the way people think. I was driving from Tehran to Caspian Sea with my friends, and right in the middle of the way, Caspian Sea is beautiful. A lot of people think that Iran is like other Arab countries and desert, and Iran is very beautiful. We have high mountain as high as 18,940 feet high. It's really great country as far as location and everything. So we were driving right someplace in the middle of the way going to Caspian Sea. I saw a big crowd, a huge crowd in there, and I just thought that, well, I would stop for a minute and see what it is. I stopped, and when I went down there was this American couple. In my book, you have to read the detail of it. I call him Mr. Marlboro Man. The reason I call him Mr. Marlboro Man, he just thought that he can just bully everybody out in there, and not one person in there knew English. And it was hilarious. His petite wife, blonde wife with the mini skirt in that country, was the one that the crowd were just looking at her legs. I mean, they were really harmless. They were just having a great time of seeing what is happening. And this guy is screaming, yelling, and the police in there thinks that, oh my God, this is the rich American. Now it's my time to just get a big money. And what happened? There was a taxi driver completely drunk coming down, and they were going up or south or north. And the taxi driver was so drunk that came into his lane and had a head-on collision. And he wanted the taxi driver, for being drunk, to give his damages. The police in there is trying to pretend that I'm ready to give him a big ticket and everything, but actually he wants the cash. And I said, listen, his name was Bob. I said, listen, if you just be quiet, this is not a country of logic, it's a country of negotiation. Let me see what I can get. I will talk, you pay something, and you leave. He grabbed me, he says, I want to know what you're going to get out of it. As soon as he said that, I was so upset. I said, you know what? I leave you in your own misery. I'm going. When I tried going back, his wife was very scared and crying, especially the crowd. Of course, the crowd don't do anything, but just as many that they were in there, she was terrified. She was so scared, she jumped on me, hugged me, and as she was hugging, her skirt was going higher. The cheers were going all over. Please don't listen to Bob. He has lost his manners. We need your help. I said, well, you have to tell him to shut up. I will negotiate. I will see what I can do to let you guys go. So, and he says, you tell this stupid policeman he's drunk, it is his fault, and he has to pay my fine. And of course, I cannot tell the policeman that the translation of stupid man is out of there. And when I talked to the policeman in a different way, and he said, you tell this idiot, how can he blame him? He's drunk. Middle East logic. You know, it took me 15 years to learn the meaning of smarty pants. What is a smarty pants? What is smart ass? Excuse me. You need a foreigner to come and translate your own language for you. That is the one who can sit an ice cream cone and tell what flavor it is. Oh, your words, Tribe. Okay, this is very short statement. Briefly, I can best describe the Shah's powerful financial grip in the following manner. Take a cab, a local flight, stay in a hotel, smoke a cigarette, watch a television show, make a phone call, buy a Mercedes sedan or a Honda motorcycle, put sugar in your tea, or any such similar activity. In each case, some percentage of the money lands in a business controlled and owned in whole or part by the Shah or his relatives. It was amazing. Most of the world is not aware that Iranian national anthem had nothing to do with our history, culture, civilization, or people. It merely said, "Long live the Shah, because of his majesty, our land is so wonderful and prosperous," that the song continued with further praises of him all the time. The anthem was played over and over, making most Iranians sick to their stomachs. However, wherever we went, whatever we did, we had to hear it, whether in a movie theater, watching a TV program, listening a lecture, watching sports, or taking a class. One could not escape the lyrics. Everyone was expected to stand up, salute the Shah's image, and then go on with life. If you didn't react immediately and with total respect, the Savak, which was his secret service group, the Shah's secret service, could arrest you on the spot. There could be many natural little reasons for not responding quickly. An erection because of your sexy date, a sore back, your clothes caught in the chair. It didn't matter. People had to jump up and stand up to attention with the first note or pay the consequences. Mubarak was no different, and it was just amazing. But at that time, this is people were just think that why Iran became an Islamic country. Shah was so bad that communists, because the Cold War had made has a very big border with Russia, and location-wise, it's absolutely a prime real estate. Both United States and Russia wanted to hold a hand in there. Therefore, um, with oil, has the third or fourth reserve of the oil in the world, minerals, everything. Russia had so much influence in there, and Shah was being hated so bad, like the last days of Mubarak, everybody witnessed. So United States thought that to stop communism, every Iranian teenager had a Russian machine gun for revolution because they were going to become communists. And they brought Ayatollah Khomeini because they thought that the Islamic government would stop communists because they believed that communists are godless. But they didn't know the culture. And even many Iranians, we went behind it to support because we thought that, well, they would throw Shah and CIA out of there, and then we will throw the Islamic regime out. But that wasn't the case. These people have a grip in there that no one can throw them out. Iran is sitting so strong in there that that was a big mistake. For me, I always think that a lot of times our politicians, in their policies, they had a short-term gain, long-term loss. Short-term gain, long-term loss. And Iran was one of them. Anyway, when I came to New York City, which I told you some of the things, but one of the other funny things was when you get so serious, I just have to make you laugh. One of the things, I was standing in front of a camera shop. I always like to take photos and everything. And I was watching the camera shop. This guy next to me had a box in his hand and a ring, and a male ring. And he's, psh, psh, psh. I just didn't know whether he wants me or somebody said, me. So finally I went in there and said, "Do you like a bargain?" And I honestly didn't know what the word bargain meant at that time. And I said, "No, this is not a bargain. This is a ring." He said, "Whatever you say, this is a bargain. Give me $60. I let you have it." BOX sounded the same as BUCKS. And I just thought that, why in the world he wants 60 boxes from me for this ring? He must be very destitute. And I just said, sir, I don't have 60 bucks. I cannot give it to you. Give me 50. And the more he came down, and he was watching right and left to see if police comes or anything. And I kept saying that I don't have it. See, he kept lowering the boxes. Finally, he puts the ring, the male ring in, and brings a female ring out and asked me, do you have a chick? I said, I have two of them. He was either chicken, man, chicken. I said, what do you think I am, a farmer? He said, if you want to score with your chicken, this is it. Now, a soccer player, chickening, scoring with chicken. I said, what kind of game American men play with the chickens? It was everything that happened. It was really crazy. From New York City, I was hired to go to University of Wyoming. My first soccer coaching job was University of Wyoming. And I had a 2-year-old daughter with me, a former Iranian wife that made my life more miserable than what it was. She hated America. She hated Americans. She cried 4 years, I want to go back to Iran. I don't want this country. When I sent her back, finally, I said, I'll finish my doctorate degree. I come back 2 weeks in Iran, calling me why did you send me this place? This is another place for people to live. I said, finally, you realize that. Anyway, people were very kind, but it was very hard for me to get the airline connections and everything. It was really very hard. And so what I did, I decided to go on a Greyhound bus from New York City to Laramie, Wyoming. When I was at the Greyhound bus station, I just looked around from the most cosmopolitan city in the world to the most desolate place in the world. I just looked around. I didn't know if there was anybody alive in town. And then, of course, they have a very great university. And I panicked. I just saw my 2-year-old daughter, 2 suitcases we had, and I really, really panicked. So I went back to the back of bus station and started crying to myself and thinking about what am I going to do now? I didn't know if there's a taxi in that town. If there is a taxi, how can I get one? And if I get one, where would I take him to tell him to take me? So, as I was so destitute in there, I thought that, well, God has helped me all the time, because I remembered whenever I was hungry, whenever I had pain, I always saw the sunshine after the rain. Many times I fumbled, quite often I fall, but God has always been there to help me through it all. I said, He will help me. So what I did, I said, the university hired me as a coach, get a taxi, go to university. And that's what I did. And I met a wonderful man. He was the head of the athletic department in there. And Red Jacoby was a marvelous man. I never forget that. The minute I introduced myself, the first thing he said, by golly, with all of the credentials and everything, I hear you're a peach of a guy and hell of a player. By golly threw me out. I never heard that word before. By the time I got myself together, I didn't know what I was doing in hell and what a peach has to do with a person. I was really panicked. So finally, he just was very helpful. He called another coach to take me to one of the student housing and everything, the guest houses of university till I find a place. But it was really good. But the point that he just drove me crazy, every time I talked to him, I was more confused, even though he was a very nice gentleman. College mascots. Every single time he's telling me about college mascots, hey coach, go get them buffaloes, go get them tigers. Are you ready for Falcons? One time when he told me, do you have your ducks in a row? I said, Red, who tells you I'm a hunter? He said, oh, coach is a funny guy. They didn't know. I just didn't know the things. And American, the people in Wyoming were so wonderful. They invited me to their homes. They took my daughter to the games. They taught her how to sing. Take me to the ball and game. And then when they were inviting to all of the parties, in one party particularly, I just walked in. The women were in the kitchen preparing munchies and everything, and the men were glued up to the TV back there. Coach, come on back here. We're watching the ball game. And I said, who's playing? They said, Twins. And I said, what Twins? I never watched baseball game in my life before. They said, Minnesota Twins. I said, their mother must be very proud of him. Everybody said, oh, coach is a real funny guy. And I said, hey, if I didn't know the language at that time and I can fool people that way, I can make a living out of the cruise ships. But again, that was a wishful dream, because every time I give a lecture, by looking at the people in here, I know that you all have been around the blocks a couple of times. You know what blocks I'm talking about, right? The first time somebody in University of Wyoming talked about, they were gossiping about Shirley. They said Shirley um, has been around the block a couple of times. I honestly thought that they were making fun of her exercising. And I said, what's wrong with that? You should do it yourself. They said, oh no, Firuz, we mean that she's loose as a goose. Trust me. Again, I thought that they are talking about stretching. And I said, hey, you don't know how good you feel if you do a little stretching yourself. And they looked at me like I'm from the moon or something. They did not want to talk one more word with me. Uh, Unfortunately, with all of the success, with all of the accomplishment in the United States, after 9/11, my life changed. I was very, very upset with what they did in New York City, and I was very upset with what our government, instead of two wrongs never makes it wrong. Instead of making it better, went to Iraq and do other things that it was not supposed to be the correct answer to that. And the partisan. When I came to America, I thought that democracy is what when I saw that the benefit of the party is a hell of a lot more important than benefit of the country, it really scared me. I have lost my country once to Islamic government. I did not want to have my second country that I was so proud of to be lost that way. I'm an American by choice. I really think those kids that they are given this citizenship by birth should be very, very thankful of it, because most of them don't know. When I talk to the kids, they say, oh God, my parents drive me bananas. They want me to go to university. I just have to go and find myself. I said, you talk to me, I'll tell you where the hell you are. You don't have to go anywhere. I finally had to make a t-shirt that it said, I am your father, not an ATM machine. The back of it says, the National Bank of Daddy is closed. They don't appreciate what we have. Oh, this is another funny thing. This is really, I was in New York, in Oakland, and I was in the cafeteria having coffee, and I saw this kid sitting in there. This boy, about 15, 16 years old, or maybe 17. The hair was like a peacock, and 5, 10 different colors. I've never seen anything like that in my life. And oh, it was just really weird. And I just looked at him and looked at him, and he was so rude. He just turned and said, "What's wrong with you, old man? Haven't you done anything wild in your life?" I said, "I have, and you have really, really wondered me. Why do I have to be wondering you?" I said, "Well, a few years back at the university, we all got drunk and we all had to do stupid things. I made love to a parrot. I think you're my son." The guy just ran out. And the disrespect. One of the things that I became a lecturer was one big Denver University invited me to talk to students about the parental and adult respect because they said that these kids don't respect anybody. And I said, fine. I was my first years in the United States, and I was very, very excited. I had my 3x5 cards at that time. I didn't even have a computer. And I was just made everything that I'm going to talk to these kids, really everything perfect. Everything was organized. When I went to that school, just by looking at the kids, I got nervous to see the earring on the eyebrow, earring on the tongue, and oh, nose, and these kids walking around with the jeans that it looks like accident happened in their past. That just drove me crazy. And I really got a little nervous at that time. Then the teacher got up there, introducing me. Instead of introducing me with my correct name, I pronounced it 100 times. And I want to tell you something about pronunciation of my name with the head coach in University of Wyoming too. Um, she introduced me, Mr. So it just really scrambled my last name. He had come here to straighten you guys up. I got so nervous when I was walking on the stage. I tripped, I dropped all of my cards. I didn't know what I'm supposed to do. So I just went up there and I said, well, I have given up sex for liquor. This whiskey is killing me. These kids love my kind of guy. Then we started talking and everything was okay. But one of the things I was trying to tell you about the Red Jacobi, Firuz is my name. Firuze or Firuzi is a female name. So every time, no matter how many times I pronounced my name to Mr. Jacobi, he kept calling me Fuzi. Fuzi. And it was kind of, I was really young and, it was kind of insulting. Then in Iran, we pat the athletes on the back. He kept calling me Fuzi, and because of our winning, kept patting me on my behind. It got me a little concerned in there. When I went to New Zealand, I really wanted tranquility. I wanted the peace and quiet because all my life, it has been a struggle. It has never, I did everything to go to school, get a master's degree, get a doctor's degree, get a coach, do this, do that. It was unbelievable. I just wanted a few years of my life that it is left. I go to some place that there is no partisanship, there is no aggravation, anything. It was really great. I enjoyed the New Zealand. They're such a funny people. They're such a relaxed and neutral people that it is wonderful. As a matter of fact, tomorrow my lecture is about New Zealand, and I would invite every one of you to come and see. But what I like to do, one of there are so many things that I had to learn about the language. It's in my first chapter of the book is all terminologies of Aussies and Kiwis in there. But one of the things that, again, back to English, very simple greeting. In United States, you folks say, how are you? Correct? What do they say in UK? How do you do? How do I do what? I thought that the word was missing. In Australia and New Zealand, they said, how ya going? I'm on my feet, what do you think? Or sometimes they say, how's your going? And I thought that I'm losing my hearing. Why is it that these people are asking about my growing? It was really, really hard. But I was in Auckland in a airport toilet, and I was just really trying to see how am I going to get everywhere. I heard this guy from next stall say, how you going, mate? And I wasn't a kind of guy to answer anybody in the toilet stall. I don't know what got into me. I just don't know what got. I just said, going well, thank you. And then he said, what are you up to now? I thought that that was really wacky. That was a wacky. I just, God, I have to say something to get out of here quick. I said, oh, I'm really happy with the outcome. It's going really well. I thought that that would stop that. Then he said, can I come to your place in a wee while? I thought, now, what am I going to do? Again, I don't know what happened to me. I just said, no, thanks. Today is not a good day. I have company. As soon as I said that, I heard this guy nervously, listen, mate, I have to call you back. There is a foreigner in there answering all of my questions. You guys do not go to toilet without your cell phones. I am going to read the poem I read about the Statue of Liberty, because this is the only thing that I have to do with at the end. But before I do that, I honestly, from bottom of my heart, I thank you all for being so wonderful, so encouraging. I will do my best on every lecture to make you happy as much as I can, and your wonderful remarks, your being in here is the biggest present for me. So I am honestly thankful, and every one of you are going to have a place in my heart. So this was the poem I wrote about the Statue of Liberty, and the name of it is The Lady. It is in my book. When my eyes met the lady's, I was far away from home. I left my work, friends, and family for America without a home. I knew the road I travel would be a tough and lonely one, but I heard the lady call to me as her newest son. Her arms soon embraced me and showed me her welcome plane. She knew I was worried, but she showed me what I would gain. A new home called America, where each man can be free to seek opportunities to be the best they can be. She gave me the inspiration that I needed and made me happy about the ideas that I have seeded. With joy, I thanked God, cried, and prayed. From bottom of my heart, I said, America, being free was all that I need. America, thank you for granting me that freedom indeed. Thank you very, very much for attending.